For a couple of years now, I was always trying to relay, went through TV interviews, conferences like this, or even Twitter, that this was never an FBI-led operation. And so much of the media attention, unfortunately or fortunately, whatever you want to call it, focused on the trees and not the forest. And I would always mention the foreign intelligence apparatus that was targeting the Trump campaign, the candidates, because of vested interests that foreign governments had in a Clinton presidency. And people would view that as a conspiracy theory. And first of all, if you actually remember where we began, just the notion of spying was viewed as a conspiracy. Now we're just trying to cover up the spying. So we've come a long way the last couple of years. And in 2018, there was a missed opportunity when the president actually wanted to declassify particular documents. Foreign governments that called him and said, don't declassify, please, this is all BS, nothing happened, and you don't want to interrupt our security partnership. And those governments are now on the hot seat, and they were the UK and Australia. And so some of you have probably now caught up with this angle, that it was never the Trump campaign colluding with Russia. In fact, no one even talked to the Russian government on the campaign. I think the only person who had one conversation, legal conversation with the Russian government was General Michael Flynn as part of his duties as an incoming national security advisor among probably 30 other governments that he called. I never met with the Russian government, and Carter Page never met with the government. But what we did meet with were a lot of people masquerading as Russians, people like Joseph Mifsud. If you've probably heard of this person's name, he's probably going to become very visible over the next couple of weeks, I hope. Stefan Halper, Alexander Downer. These are all individuals who were tied to the CIA, MI6, and foreign allied governments that, as I said, had an interest in assuring that Clinton won. And when Clinton, now that we saw with recent declassified documents, saw that her email problems were going to be a major national scandal, what did she do? She called up the White House and said, let's pin this on Trump, let's come up with something. Let's put it all on him and create a collusion conspiracy against their campaign. Clinton was involved with the Obama White House, and we now know with these foreign governments that were trying to keep this under wraps. The president just decided recently to declassify these documents, and what's happened? It's not Comey, well, Comey's not there anymore. It's not even Wray who's trying to stonewall as much as none other than Gina Haspel. Gina Haspel is the director of the CIA. Why would she even have documents regarding the surveillance of American citizens working? The action is, you're going to hear a lot more about what the CIA was up to with foreign governments, and that's exactly why we're seeing this attempt to blockade these documents from coming out, because it will represent the biggest in history that not only involved the FBI, but the CIA and other foreign governments. So I think that's a very, probably good way to summarize what's happening now and what was going on back then.
Thanks, George. Yeah. Thanks. So David, from a national security perspective, what he just said, what does that mean? What are the ramifications of not only just the server, but the types of activities the CIA seems to have been undertaking illegally?
Sure. We have given I guess I'll start with the mea culpa, who thought that it was rather intrusive surveillance and give them enhanced investigative powers in order to keep America safe from terrorism. I was there at 9/11. It was personal to me. I am an expert in Islamist and jihadist movements. I thought that this was a good idea. I thought that it would keep Americans safe, and I thought it would be abused. This stuff is ended up being too powerful not to be abused. The last several years out in the open in really kind of spectacular and shocking ways, how these powers were used for partisan reasons against a rival campaign and then a rival presidency over and over and over again. And it seems that I was wrong. It seems that the temptation was too great. and these things need to be gradually curtailed. It will, though, leave us, curtailing these powers will leave us vulnerable to terrorist attack. And here's why. I brought with me a whole bunch of black pills, enough for all of you, for this. But I think where we are in the movie, and we'll probably get to this later, I always say, like, we're not, we're past that part in the movie. If you think of this as a narrative, something that could have made sense early on in the game no longer makes sense.